Hello, everyone. How are you today? There we go. Let's get some energy in here. I'm going to be honest. I never think about my feet more than when I'm walking up on stage because I'm always expecting to fall, and it didn't happen. That means it's going to be great today. Thank you. I didn't fall. All right. So I want to start out by thanking two groups of people. First, all of you. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for coming to Universe. Thank you for coming to this speech. The second group of people are the developers behind all of the features I'm about to show you. I'm just a face. I'm the one speaking about this, but I didn't write any of this code. It took hours of work by developers, by QA, by support. I don't think they get thanked enough, so I hope if you're watching, I want to thank all of you for all of your hard work. Thank you so much for it. So my name is Jarryd McCree, and I'm a senior product manager here at GitHub. I'm a developer by trade. I remember the first app I made was a tic-tac-toe app in C++ in middle school. And as soon as I did that, I was like, this is the best thing in the world. If I code it right, it works. If it doesn't, then I failed. And I can accept that. I got hooked onto that. And I got hooked onto creating things. Prior to joining GitHub, I was a founder and CTO of multiple startups back in my home in Atlanta. And they were in multiple industries. They were in social media, they were in electronic signature, they were in legal, just across the board. But at the core, besides people who are the most important part of any company, GitHub was at the core. Be it making it easier for me to collaborate with my distributed team, or integrating with all the services I needed to run my company. GitHub made it easier. And when I got the opportunity to join the company, I jumped at it because I get to give back to a company that helped me create so many of mine. Now, when I started, I thought I knew GitHub pretty well. Like, I'd been using it for 8 years, I started a company with it, I thought I knew everything. I was wrong. There are so many features out here that I wish I knew about that could have helped me run my company better. And that's what I want to focus on today with you all. So hopefully you all saw the keynote. If you did, you know we released a ton of features in the past year. I can't go through all of them, but I do want to focus on the things the keys to success. That's what I want to focus on today. And I'm going to do that in 3 specific areas: security, scale, and collaboration. Now, security is essential, whether you're a small project, a growing startup, or a mature enterprise. Security is key. And we all know certain best practices out there that we need to utilize. Use 2-factor authentication, use a password manager, restrict access to sensitive data to a small group of people, rotate your SSH keys. We understand that. But the questions we ask ourselves here at GitHub are, how do we better protect your intellectual property? How do we better protect your data? How do we prevent fires? Now, when we go about trying to tackle this very large question, the first thing we think about are what are some common developer practices used for security? Don't commit your secrets to source control. We all know this. This is drilled in by every tech lead, every engineering manager, every CTO. But accidents happen, and we commit our secrets, our tokens, our keys to source control. When you do that, malicious code can be injected. You commit a secret and emails are now leaked. You commit a secret and now social security numbers are leaked. Here in the Bay, we're aware of the millions and millions of dollars in fines that have happened because these tokens were committed to source control. Now, that's money, but what's some further impact of that? It's a loss in productivity. It creates developer angst and angst among your users. And overall, it's a complete loss of trust in your company. Now, when we think about this, we wonder how often does this happen? So we ran a 1-year public beta program, scanning all public repositories to wonder how often for people who opted in, of course, how often are secrets committed to source control? Approximately 300 million tokens are committed every single month. That's 17,000 a day. Now, that's a lot of little fires going around. But while we're a collaboration company, we're also a fire prevention company. And we know as a society that having a smoke detector prevents a house from burning down. And what we want to do is give a smoke detector for free to everyone out there. And that's why we released token scanning in a public beta today. We want to reduce the risk of your credentials being leaked. Now, this not only helps our customers, but also helps our providers. Now, those who are giving out these keys, because it's also a hassle for them as well. Now, what keys do we scan for? Of course, the GitHub ones, but we also do with our partners. Now, how does it work? First thing you do is opt in, of course. Once you've done that, first time using a clicker, whenever a token or a key is committed to source control, we're scanning all public repositories out there right now. As soon as we find out that, as soon as we find a key that we think matches, we notify both the partner, the provider of the key, as well as the owner of the repository. We do that for the admins as well. And we're working on opening that up so you can notify as many people, but that's who we do by default. Now, once that happens, you're able to invalidate that token, and the partner can revoke it once we realize that that key is legitimate. So we're working with our partners rather, to reissue those tokens, to learn more, and to be able to better help you. We're also working with our data scientists to learn more and better predict these things to prevent these from being leaked. Now, this is available for all .com plans. It's available for more plans. If you want to learn more, you can see me or any product manager after this. But please, please add this to your roadmap today. Now, speaking of roadmap, this probably isn't on your roadmap to add token scanning. What's probably on your roadmap right now? Oh, probably bugs that need to get squashed. We've got features that need to be implemented. We've got enhancements that need to be made. But what's probably not on there? The very, very sexy dependency upgrades. No, we don't add that on there. Modern software, the majority of modern software is built on third-party libraries, open source libraries. We all know this. But when you don't upgrade your dependencies, you open yourselves up to security vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities are damaging to your confidentiality, they're damaging to the integrity of your application, and they're damaging to the availability of your application. It'd be great if we could automate this, right? But why is that important? Why should we automate dependency upgrades? Organizations that use tools to automate dependency management have 60% fewer security vulnerabilities than those who don't. Now, identifying these vulnerabilities isn't enough to adequately reduce your risk. We are all aware, recently in the past years, of breaches that would release social security numbers, personally identifiable information. Now, with some of those breaches, the security vulnerability was found months ahead of time, but it was not addressed. How do we fix that? Let's automate it. Automation equals peace of mind. And when you think of GitHub, we want you to have peace of mind. And that's why we released security vulnerabilities last year. We released it for JavaScript and Ruby. Earlier this year, we released it for Python. And today, we released it for Java and .NET. Now, when we do this, how does this work? Well, first you need to enable your dependency graph. If you haven't done that, please go do that after this. It maps how a developer's repo depends on other packages, other repos across GitHub. Now, when GitHub receives a notification of a new vulnerability, we are scanning our repositories to figure out which ones have that particular dependency and that version. Now, when we do that, we immediately send an email to the owners and admins of that particular repo, letting them know of that vulnerability. Now, this was released last year, but we've also made a ton of updates to the UI. And that's what you're seeing behind me right now. When you look in the UI, when you look on your screen in your repo, we're going to show you what that vulnerability is. We're going to show you where in your code that vulnerability is. And we're going to tell you the severity of it. Low, moderate, high, critical. And no one here is going to ignore a critical, a high, a moderate, or a low dependency, or a low vulnerability. Am I right? There you go. That's what I wanted to hear. Also, we made some updates to the email, the weekly email digest that we send out, letting you know of the security vulnerabilities in your applications. That sends out weekly. We do that up to 10 repos. Now, you can update the notification so you get an email every single day letting you know of your security vulnerabilities. At GitHub, we want to be that person tapping you on the shoulder, letting you know, please fix these security vulnerabilities. No more data breaches. All right? Now, this is available today for free on .com and Business Cloud. We're also working towards opening that up to other instances, but that's what's available today. Now, we're all going to add that to our roadmap, correct? Oh, thank you. Now, let's talk about scale. Here at GitHub, we have a responsibility, no matter what stage your company is in, to give you the tools to succeed. At each stage of your company, we need to address your needs. So kind of a little practice we went through is to understand, what does everyone need? What's the natural progression of a successful company? So, let me tell you a little story. We've got an early stage company, a project, a startup, started in a garage, somebody's office, we don't know. It's a small team, one project. They're small, they're nimble, they're focused. And because they're also really, really smart, they use the best collaboration software in the world. It rhymes with FlitHub. And that's what we've done. So they keep maturing, they keep grinding, they're working hard, they get featured on Product Hunt. Really exciting. Because of that, they start getting a bunch of new users that come in. Now those users give them a bunch of feedback, and that feedback leads them to open a new product line. 2 teams, 2 products, 2 orgs. They keep working harder, they keep grinding, they keep learning, and they get featured on TechCrunch. Ugh, champagne's popping, things are good. They're getting featured everywhere now, and they're getting money thrown at them from left and right. And they decide, let's raise that first round of funding. With funding comes new developers. With funding, they were able to increase their velocity. Now they're able to open another product line. 3 teams, 3 products, 3 orgs. Now this entire time that they've been releasing, grinding, they've had a rival just lurking in the alley. Every time they release a feature, that rival copies them. They release a bug, they jump all over them in social media. Now, is a rival a bad thing? Batman needs the Joker, Coke needs Pepsi, waffles need pancakes. But eventually, you gotta eat that rival. And that's what happens. They eat it, they acquire them. 4 teams, 4 products, 4 orgs. Now they've been working hard this entire time. They've grinded. And after a couple years, they look like this. This is what success looks like for a lot of our companies. Multiple orgs, multiple teams, multiple projects. With success comes champagne, but also with success comes some challenges, some difficulties. It's very difficult to be an admin when you have X number of orgs and product lines. It's very difficult to collaborate when these instances aren't connected. It's very difficult to manage. Now that's why you heard about earlier today the GitHub Connect initiative. It doesn't matter how many instances you have on Business Cloud because you're successful, or whether you're utilizing the benefits of GHE, we want to combine them together. We want to make that administration easier for you. We want to unify that experience. For developers, we know that innovation happens with connection. For admins, it's easier to we want to make it easier to manage your org. And the first step is unified business identity, which we released today in limited public beta for Business Cloud. For admins, this makes it easier to manage your multiple orgs. It makes you more productive. It gives you better visibility into your multiple organizations. Now, this is the first step towards being able to give you better billing, more unique billing, and being able to manage your permissions and policies across multiple instances easier. Now, I'm talking about the admin. What about the developer? We know that collaboration equals innovation, and innovation equals collaboration. That happens because of code reuse, which increases your velocity. It happens because of knowledge sharing, which increases your velocity. And it happens with camaraderie, which just makes you feel good and increases your velocity. Now, many of our customers, they utilize the benefits of GitHub Enterprise. But with that, you're not able to search and see what's happening on the .com side. Now that's why we introduced Unified Search, which is available today. The first release happened in GitHub 2.14, and now we're making some upgrades in 2.15. Now we're going to show the results. If you're on your local GHE instance, the results that you search for on your local instance will show up, as well as what's happening on github.com. Now we have two flavors of this. Right now, if you're a GitHub Enterprise user and you do a search, all you can see is what's on that particular instance. But that's 2017. This is 2018. We've got new stuff we're going to do. The first delicious flavor of Unified Search. You can search everything that's on public.com, github.com public, and your GHE instance. That's flavor 1. With flavor 2, you get everything in flavor 1, plus you're able to see everything that's on your business cloud instance as well. Now, how does this work? What you're seeing here is a user or an admin who's turned on Unified Search in their settings. Now, they're searching for Hodor, which, rest in peace, and you're seeing results from both GitHub Enterprise and github.com. What you're also seeing is the advanced search option. For those who want to just specify, I only want results from my GHE instance, or I only want results from .com, you're able to do that as well. Now what we've also released today is advanced search prefixes. If you don't like using advanced search, you're a power user and you want to just use that top search bar, you can have prefixes to search exactly which instance you want, what libraries you want, all of that. And you can read more about that on the help docs, or talk to me after this. Now, we're talking about the GHE developer, and I'm going to share another story with you. I heard about this developer. She had been working at this company like 5 or 6 years. She started out as a junior, worked her butt off, became a senior. Did she stop there? No. She wants to be full stack. So she also worked on the services, did back-end development, worked her butt off even further, became a senior dev. A year later, now she's an architect. Now, me being curious and nosy, I want to learn more about her. I'm at GitHub. I'm going to go check on her profile. I'm going to see what she's done. Ugh. It's empty. It's nothing. Now, earlier, developers demanded that contributions made in private repos, that they are shown on their public profile. We didn't want to stop there. We know how many people are commenting, coding, reviewing, denying pull requests in GitHub Enterprise, and they want their contributions shown on github.com. And that's why we released unified contributions for Business Cloud and GitHub Enterprise. There are so many developers out there right now who are grinding and not getting credit for their work. And that's what we've released today. Now, what have we talked about today? We have talked about security, token scanning and security vulnerabilities, which you're all going to add to your roadmap after this. We've talked about GitHub Connect. We want to unify that experience regardless of which instances you have. Now we're going to talk about collaboration. So I've talked a bit about collaboration today. I've said that it's key to innovation. What I haven't talked about is that collaboration is really hard. To do that, you have to have good documentation. You have to be committing code. You have to be removing code. You have to be up to date on all the new technologies that are out there. Now, we know these are questions that you ask yourselves within your own projects, within your own companies, but these are questions we ask ourselves internally here at GitHub as well. GitHub is 65% remote employees, so collaboration is super, super key to our success. Now, again, we're a developer-first company. we want to think about what are the things the developer thinks about when they're using GitHub, when they're going to work. Now, that list is endless. What issue was I working on yesterday? Did I open a pull request? Did I deny a pull request? Do I need to update my dependencies? Where's that cat video I found on Reddit? Did I get mentioned? Do I need to fix that bug from yesterday? What tools do I need to use now? Did I use GitHub Actions? I should use GitHub Actions. Do I have a merge conflict? Did my test fail? What's the news? What's that new open source tool that I need to use? The questions that we want to answer are, where is my attention needed now? Whether you're starting your day, coming back to it, or closing out. And that's why we released the developer dashboard, which is available today for free for everyone on .com plans. Now, how do you access that? For those who are on your computer right now, go to github.com. There's this beautiful little Octa kitten in the top left. All you got to do is click there, and you'll see the developer dashboard. Now, there's 3 different groups that I'm going to focus on today on that developer dashboard. It's recent activity, it's starred repositories, and it's activity feed. So recent activity. I will admit I have an addiction. I didn't want to do it publicly, but I'm just going to state it. I have far too many tabs open on my computer, and I'm really hoping I take that out before you see. I have, before the developer dashboard, I had a tab open for 10 PRs, for 20 issues, for that video on Reddit I told you about. But what we want to fix with that, with the recent activity board, is for those who have that tab addiction like me, we want to make it easier to get back to what you were doing. If you go into your developer dashboard and you look on your recent activities, what we're trying to show you is the most relevant content to you right now. This is going to be pull requests. Recent pull requests are ones that you were mentioned in. These are issues that you've opened or you've been commented on. Anytime you've been mentioned, we're going to show that in that developer dashboard in the recent activity group. Now, we're continually learning and working with our data scientists to make sure that we're presenting to you the most relevant content. By right now, we're showing you 5 at most, but this is expandable. You can click a little button on the bottom and it'll show you more. Now the next is starred repos. Now, we added the ability to star repos earlier, but most of you don't have 5, you don't have 10, you have 20, you have 100. What we want to do is show you the most relevant repos here. Now these are going to be based on the amount of time that you've spent in them. And by time, we mean you've done actions on this particular repo, or ones that have had recent activity. Your coworker mentioned you on something. Now, we also wanted to show you the team. Now, you're going to be part of many, many teams. We're going to show you the most relevant ones here. Again, based on the time you've spent and recent activity. And if these aren't shown, you're able to search. Again, we're trying to show you the most relevant information possible. Now, the last is the activity feed. Now, we've seen activity feeds in many different flavors, but the last thing we wanted to do is give you a fire hose of information that's not usable. So what we've done is group these events into what we feel is most relevant for you. You got a stack of PRs that you need to review, we're going to group those together. You have issues, we're going to group those together. Now, we've also added the ability, we've had this for a while, to follow people. Now, people use this to stay up to date on open source community updates, to just stay up to date with people that your colleagues or coworkers. Now, we're also going to be suggesting people for you to follow based on who you're already following as well. Again, trying to show you the most relevant information possible. Now, I want to talk to you all about GitHub Desktop. So we redesigned this and re-released it last year purely in Electron. The reason we wanted to do this was to unify that experience to have the same, or as you would expect, experience on both Mac and Windows. And we open sourced this from the beginning. Open source is at the core of GitHub, and for our products, we wanted to make sure that we did that as well. It's a community-driven project, and 400 PRs have been opened from people who are not GitHub employees. 250 of those have already been merged in. That comes out to 1,000 commits made by people who don't work at GitHub to this application, and I want to thank all of them. Now, we've released a ton of features for GitHub Desktop, but I'm going to highlight a couple of them today. So most of you, regardless of your project, if you're working on a small project or an enterprise, you've had a situation where a developer is training a junior developer. Now, if you're smart, you're going to use Atom with teletype. So you can both be on two separate computers typing on the same file at the same time. It's really cool, and you all should use it. Now, let's say you're working through, you're pairing with this new developer, you've been working on a couple files, and now it comes time to commit. Who is the author of that commit? Is it the junior? Is it the senior? Wouldn't it be great if you both could be on that commit? And that's what we've added with co-authoring. Now what you're seeing here is the ability directly within GitHub Desktop to write your commit message and then add multiple authors to that particular commit message. What you're also seeing here is the ability directly in GitHub Desktop to be able to see you can see the commit history and see who co-authored it. Now, in addition to that, what you're seeing in the lower right is the CI status. You're able to see that directly from GitHub Desktop. And so you can see if your CI is pending, you can see if it succeeded, and you can see if it failed. And if it failed, you can blame that junior developer and say, why did you add me as a co-author? Now, that's awful. Awful, don't do that. One of my favorite features of GitHub.com is syntax highlighted diffs. I love, regardless of what language I'm putting it in, or I'm coding in, I can actually see the difference between when I committed and when I didn't. Now, wouldn't it be cool if we added that to GitHub Desktop? I think it would, which is why we did. You can see that directly in GitHub Desktop. You can see without even going to a browser. You're dual screening, you're coding here, and you have GitHub Desktop open on the other. You can see those diffs. Are you not excited? I'm excited for this. So I'm going to close out on one more story. There is a very common developer practice which is called commit early, commit often. Now, let's go through a typical day of some of the developers I've talked to. You show up in the morning, you've got your 3 cups of coffee in you already because you love caffeine. You start working on that first feature that you were working on yesterday. You saw it in the developer dashboard, so you could easily pick it back up. So you go to your stand-up, yada, 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 15 minutes, you're ready. Now you have a bug that you need to work on as well. All right, let's fix that bug. I'm gonna go to lunch, grab a burrito, come back. Now you're working on another feature. Oh man, I didn't document that first feature I did earlier this morning. All right, let me go back. I'm gonna go document that now. You got one more thing you need to do. Oh yeah, let me squash that bug real quick. It's a couple lines. Okay, it's the end of your day. Oh crap. You didn't make one commit all day. You got 15 files you touched. So you're gonna stash your changes, you're gonna commit, you're gonna make sure that every single thing that you worked on, every bug, every feature, every enhancement has its own commit, right? Right? No, you're not gonna do that. You got like 10 episodes of Archer DVR'd. You're making one commit message and then you're gone. You're done. Can GitHub help me with this? Yeah, we can help you with this. What we have added is partial commits. Let's say you're working on 20 different files at a time. And you just want to be able to just say, this was for this bug, commit message. This was for this feature, commit message. This is for this documentation. You can do that all from GitHub Desktop. Now what you're seeing here is all the features for GitHub Desktop that I talked about. You can see co-authoring. You can see syntax highlighted diffs. You can see partial commits. I lied, you can't see the status of the CI. I should have added this here. But you can see everything else. Now, what have we focused on today? We talked about security, we talked about scale, we talked about collaboration. For security, please, everyone, let us prevent data breaches. Let us do better as a community. Use token scanning, use security vulnerabilities today or tomorrow, but preferably like right after this. Scale. We are making sure that regardless of how many instances you have, no matter how successful you are, and you're all going to be successful, we're going to unify that experience with unified business identity, unified search, and unified contributions. And for collaboration, we want to make sure that whenever you come back to GitHub, whenever you come back to work, you're able to pick up where you left off. Where is your attention needed most? That's what we want to answer. And last, but definitely not least, use GitHub Desktop. It makes things so much easier. So everyone, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for coming to Universe. I'm happy to answer any questions after this. Thank you all.